Hey, welcome to my post-game show. I'm Grant Cohn. I'm in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in one of the position coaches' little booths. I like doing my show from the booth. It makes me feel like I coached in the game because I'm quality control. Anyway, Niners lost 28-14. I'm going to get right into it. Little Lord Stewie says this game was a joke. I mean, maybe for the Niners, but the Falcons were not messing around. The Falcons were not messing around. Now that the Niners lost to Atlanta, they're both 3-3. Let's talk about why the Niners lost this game. I think there's a difference of opinion here. I think a lot of Niner fans are arguing about why the Niners lost this game. And I see a lot of people online saying the defense is the reason they lost. The defense is they're banged up and they gave up too many points. And the defense should take the blame for this one. And frankly, Kyle Shanahan blamed the defense after the game. First question, some softball about injuries, giving him the injury excuse right off the bat. And he went to, the turning point in the game was when the 49ers defense gave up a 15-yard scramble to Marcus Mariota on 3rd and 12. That's what he pointed to. That's why the Niners lost, because they gave up one third down conversion to Marcus Mariota in the second quarter. Now, that was bad. Of course, you got to contain the quarterback in the pocket and make him throw, but it's one play in the second quarter. The game was tied, 14-14. They go on, the Falcons, they score a touchdown at the end of the half. The Niners scored 14 points. Whether or not they stopped Marcus Mariota on 3rd and 12, they were not going to score any more points in that game. So it's rich for Kyle to blame the defense. Kyle essentially said the offense would have scored more points if the defense played better. No. Think about it this way. The defense, of course, giving up that many points to Atlanta is beneath them, but this was not the Niners defense. This was the B team. They were missing Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, Javon Kinlaw, Azeez Al-Shaair, Emmanuel Mosley, Jimmy Ward, and then eventually Travarius Ward, the B team. If I told you that with all of those players gone, that the Niners would hold an offense that scores 24 points a game, more than 24 points a game, to 21 points, you'd probably, before the game, if I told you that, this defense banged up against this offense on the road is going to give up 21, you'd be like, I'll take it. I'll take it. And the Niners will win. 21 points, I'll take it. It's holding an offense below their season average. That's the 49ers defense, backup defense, doing its job. If I told you before the game that the offense was going to score 14, you'd be like, oh, they're going to lose. You can't win with 14 points. Maybe if you have the greatest defense of all time, which the Niners had the first 5 games of the season, you can win with 14 points. But for Kyle to act like they should have won with 14 points is silly. They lost because their offense was terrible. They lost for 2 reasons. One, injuries are a huge issue for this team in year 6 of Kyle Shanahan's tenure. He hasn't figured out a solution. It's not an easy fix, and it may not be all his fault, but it's his job to find a solution, whether it's a different training method or a different training stat, whatever it is. He hasn't found the solution. It's on him. And then the offense. The offense was ridiculous, and it's not like there were a ton of injuries on offense. They didn't have Trent Williams or Mike McGlinchey or Trey Lance or Elijah Mitchell. They had a lot of talent on offense. The offensive line was decent today. Jimmy had plenty of time to throw. There's lots of good running backs on this team. They don't all get the ball. Jordan Mason doesn't get the ball. There's lots of good receivers on this team. 14 points. That's why they lost. No excuse. They're going up against a terrible defense. The Falcons' defense is awful. They have like 2 good players. One of them got hurt in this game, A.J. Terrell. The other one's Grady Jarrett. And the offense couldn't do anything with George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Jimmy Garoppolo, the winner. They couldn't do anything. 14. That's why they lost. I just want to make that real clear right off the bat. Stop blaming the defense that actually did its job today with a bunch of backups. The Niners offense did not do its job. They had 3rd and 1 right down there at the end of the game. Kyle Shanahan called a run for Tevin Coleman. Go home. That's the best you can do on 3rd and 1. What quarterback sneak? You always do that on 3rd and 1 and it works. Actually, after the game, I asked Kyle Shanahan, did you consider doing a quarterback sneak on 3rd and 1? And he said the quarterback had the option to do one. So again, he blamed Jimmy. It's Jimmy's fault. That's the mark of a good team right there. The coach blames. You want a quarterback sneak? Call a quarterback sneak. Don't give him the option. You want to let Jimmy Garoppolo make a decision? Why? He makes terrible decisions. That's why the Niners lost. And I'm not singling anyone out on offense. It's the whole team. But some people are like, oh, Jimmy Garoppolo, it wasn't his fault. Yeah, it was. His offense scored 14 points. Kyle Shanahan, everyone on the team is responsible for this loss, but most of the offense. 49ers daddy says offense is a joke. Jimmy and Kyle got exposed today. Yeah, both of them. I'm not defending one or the other. They deserve each other. Ray Ban says, here's $5. Thank you. Joey Lilly says defense played their best with all the injuries. They only allowed 21 points. Our offense was complete crap and Kyle abandoned the run. plus no hurry up. Yeah, man, what was that no hurry up on the second to last drive? That was terrible. Really bad. Really bad. Jackson Din says, what do you think the spread will be for next week? And are we expecting anybody back from injury versus KC? I don't know. The Niners often rush people back. That's on Kyle Shanahan, too. They have setbacks because guys come back too quickly. I don't know. Maybe Nick Bosa will be rushed back into action because I would imagine the Niners are going to be big home underdogs. Big. Because all of a sudden, they don't have the defense to shut down Kansas City. They don't. 14 points and gave up 7, but 14 points? Yeah. 808 Niners says it's all in the coaches. I hate watching Jimmy, but he played A+. This is why Kyle can't win. He abandoned the run and no sense of urgency. That last drive was so poorly called. Okay. Let's talk about Jimmy Garoppolo. A lot of people are saying that Jimmy Garoppolo played well. The previous guy said he was an A+ today. I gave Jimmy Garoppolo a D. I don't understand what some of you people see in him. He made some okay. Every quarterback that's a decent starting quarterback will make a few nice throws in the game. Otherwise, he's not a starting quarterback. So Jimmy made some nice throws. That's great. But his offense scored 14 points, and he turned the ball over twice. You can't tell me he played well today. Jimmy Garoppolo, we've been saying this for a long time. Like everyone says, oh, he's a winner. You know, you put him on the field, he just wins. Nah. If you put him on the field without an elite defense and an elite run game, it's going to look like that. That's why he wins. Everyone's like, oh, there must be something about him. I mean, he's so mediocre. His stats aren't great. His skill set isn't great, but he just wins. Yeah, because his defense is great. Because his run game is great. He doesn't play defense. He doesn't run. He's not responsible for either of those things. And yeah, he won a few games, like 5 in 2017, before the Niners had an elite defense and elite run game. Those games didn't matter. Those games were just 5 games at the end of a season that was over already. Since 2019, Jimmy's only played with elite defenses and elite run games. Today he had neither, and you saw what happened. 41 passes, a lot of yards, some nice throws, a lot of dinks and dunks. A million dinks and dunks, and yet 2 turnovers. Now, some people will say the first interception at the end of the first half was just like, a prayer at the end of the first half. Okay. He threw the ball like 30 yards into triple coverage. That had no chance. Why don't you get the ball down the field into the end zone? How about that? You just threw the ball to the other team. That was terrible. And then the interception in the second half was just, you knew it was coming. If the Niners don't run and they force Jimmy Garoppolo to be the focal point of the offense, you know that's coming. And he doesn't give you enough big plays to offset those bad ones. So there's a reason that the Niners' formula is to run the ball so much. And that's why when they abandoned the run game today, I'm like, oh, I already know what's going to happen in this game. The defense is going to get tired. The defense is going to do okay. And Jimmy Garoppolo's going to turn the ball over. He did. I don't understand why people like him. Why they think he's good. Why they think he played well in this game. He made some nice throws. He had some drops. That's true. But even if Braden McLeod catches the deep ball that he dove for, or Charlie Warner has a 25-yard catch, how many points does this offense score? Maybe 21? Maybe. And he still commits 2 turnovers, which he can't do. His job is to not make the big mistake. He made 2 of them today. He almost made a 3rd. He fumbled, but the play didn't count. I don't understand why people keep defending this guy. He's a fine backup, but he should not be the starting quarterback of this team next year. He's not the answer next year. And frankly, aren't we all a little embarrassed that we even entertained the conversation that he might be improving? We really talked about that the last couple. I didn't, but I heard a lot of people saying like, oh man, this is a different Jimmy. This is a super Jimmy. And the only thing missing is cape because he's special. I read that he was surging. No, he's the same quarterback every week. It's just that the last couple of weeks, the Panthers and Rams did not intercept the passes he threw to the other team. Jimmy will always do his part. The other team just has to capitalize, and the Falcons did today. So the Niners could have won this game if they'd run the ball, if they'd figured that out. But as soon as they put the game in Jimmy Garoppolo's hands, which is what the Falcons wanted, it's so amazing how the Niners just gave the Falcons exactly what they wanted. Oh, you want us to stop running? You want us to pass? Fine. We'll just throw screens all day and lose and score 14 points and blame it on execution. No, we'll blame the defense. Excuse me. We'll score 14 points and lose, but we'll blame the defense for not getting a 3rd and 12 in the second quarter. That's great. I love that. Mariota had less incompletes than Jimmy Garoppolo had interceptions. Yeah. You can give them. Look, what was D'Amico supposed to do? He played a very conservative brand of football without his starters and basically gave up a bunch of short passes, and Falcons took it. I can't put this game on Jimmy 100%. I've been hard on him. The receivers have to give him a chance. What happened to the run game? I wouldn't put it all on on Jimmy. It's all of them. But a lot of people are like, Jimmy was great today. It's not his fault. Nah, he wasn't great. No one was great on offense. They all were terrible. Nathan Flores says, banana hands, where's the urgency behind 14 points? And then you don't do no huddle like 5 minutes left in the game. Shake my head. Terrible drops today. The SF-49 are basically banana hands will always be under 500. Look, we're really killing these people for dropping the ball. That's true. Your job is to catch the ball as a receiver. But you know what's worse than dropping the ball? Putting it on the ground, turning it over. And no wide receivers or tight ends turned it over today. The turnovers came from the quarterback position and the running back position. They lost the game. Those two. Robert Saleh and the Jets are 4-2 without a quarterback. Yeah, they have a good coach, though. Danny Young says Jake Brendel was so bad in the second half. Yeah, everyone in the offense was really bad, except for the wide receivers. Grant, repeat that Jimmy stat, 9 of 14. Okay, so here's the thing. Everyone says Jimmy Garoppolo's a winner, right? He has all these wins, yes. But when he passes more than the 49ers run, he's 9 and 14 in his career with the 49ers. 9 and 14 when he passes more than the team runs. This is modern NFL football. Usually you pass. Usually it's a good thing. All the rules support passing. But when the Niners try to do what they did today, they lose. So how could he be a great quarterback if he's totally dependent on running the ball more than he passes? And he doesn't run. He doesn't even use his legs. He is fugazi. Fugazi. If you don't know what that means, go watch Donnie Brasco. He's always been a product of two things he's not involved with, the run game and the defense. And then he gets credit for a couple nice throws. Time for Juice to play quarterback. Michael Hamilton says 2 throws that got dropped were the best deep throws. All the others were underthrown. Kyle's clock management sucked. Give Mason some totes. Yeah, man, 2 games in a row. So last week they gave Tevin Coleman a carry on 3rd and 2. He got no gain. This week they gave him a carry with the game on the line on 3rd and 1. He lost a yard. What are you doing, Kyle? He's not a short yardage back. You'd be better off giving the ball to Jordan Mason or Jeff Wilson Jr. Tevin Coleman. Jimmy Midopolo. Yep. Jimmy missed a lot of throws high and low. Yeah, he's not that good. He's not that good. He played A+ for Jimmy today. Who did? Jimmy did? Kyle can't score after halftime. What a bum, says Milf Hunter. Yeah. I mean, he got out coached by Arthur Smith today. Mario Gonzalez says, why are we not throwing the deep ball to George and Ayuk? It gave me hope that he threw it deep, but man, we need to step it up. I mean, that deep throw that Jimmy threw to Brandon Ayuk was pathetic. He was open. All he had to do was throw it out in front of him, and he couldn't. And Ayuk had to stop and jump for it. Kyle Shanamid, I like it. J-Rod says, Jimmy isn't great, but damn it, he's handsome. It's pretty much what I've been reading for 6 years. Seth Harvey says, just saying I called this trap game back during Rams week. To be honest, Jimmy interception was end of half garbage time. These drops getting out of hand, though. Good job calling it, man. James says, can we call Drew Brees? Grant, you got his number. I don't think he wants to play for this banged-up team. This is Jimmy's problem now. First interception had to go to the sideline or end zone. No end zone option on that play call. Not on Jimmy. Oh, my God, dude. You're really going to give him a pass for throwing in triple coverage and throwing a Hail Mary 30 yards? First of all, it was pathetic. Throw the ball further. Get the ball to the end zone or don't throw it into triple coverage. So if Trey Lance had done that, you'd be crushing him. That was terrible. Second was bad. Jimmy and D weren't the biggest reasons they lost, though. Who played better on O, though? They sucked. Who cares who the biggest reason was that they lost? Everyone's the reason they lost. Kyle's the reason they lost. Jimmy's the reason they lost. Every single person has a hand in it. I don't think it really matters going through and ranking who's most responsible for their loss. They all are. The quarterback and the coach every week. It's them. Every week. The quarterback and the coach. You can defend one or the other, but it's them. Nathan says Kyle under 500 Shanahan. Any coach would have been fired. Ridiculous. Fox commentators were calling Kyle a genius. No, Banana Hand is not. No, Arthur Smith is smarter than him. How come no one calls Arthur Smith a genius? You know why? Because his name is Arthur Smith. It's the most generic name of all time. His dad, he's not a brand name. His dad wasn't in the league. Arthur Smith is like generic coach B. But so he's not a genius. You have to have a great name. He should change his name to Slim Smith. I think that'd be better. 808 Niner says, I meant for what Jimmy is, it's the best we can expect from Jimmy. At least he threw more 10 yards downfield. No. The expectation for Jimmy is to not throw interceptions. That's his job. Don't throw picks. That's it. That's your job. Why is Mason on the team? Why is he on the team? To play special teams? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Also got beat by the Trey Lance offensive formula. 49ers got beat by the Trey Lance offensive formula. That's true. What the Falcons are doing is what the Niners... Whoa! Hey, why'd they do that to me? Hey, hold on real quick. I'm coming right back. Hold on. Hold on. Haters. It was the haters that put the lights out, but I got them back on. I talked to the haters. Man, That was professional. Okay, moving on. Are the 49ers good? I feel like we ask this question every week, and we have like wildly different takes based on whether they won or not. But now they're 3-3, and they just got beaten by 14 points by not a bad team, but not a good team. This team is rebuilding. The Falcons are rebuilding, okay? They have like 80 million in dead cap, which means they're spending 80 million of their salary cap is going to players who aren't on the team. Julio Jones, Matt Ryan. They had to tear it down. It's a 2-year tear down before they can build. They're not even rebuilding yet. They're tearing the team down. The Niners are in year 4 of a Super Bowl window, and they just got smacked by 14 by the Falcons after staying on the East Coast for a week just so they wouldn't be jet lagged. Got smacked. And now you're looking at them like, well, you know, when they're healthy, they're good. But when are they ever going to be healthy? Every week they get more injured, not healthier. It's not like people are coming back anytime. I mean, more people are going out than are coming back at this point. They can't beat Atlanta. They lost to Denver. They lost to Chicago. Their wins are over a team that fired their coach and 2 teams in their division. So, no, the Niners are not good. Are they bad? No. Could they still win their division? Yes. And I think that's what that's what has to be their focus at this point, winning the division, winning every single divisional game. Because as we see, this team could lose to any team in the league. If you lose to Atlanta by 14, you lose to Chicago, you could lose to any team in the league, especially teams that you don't know that well, that aren't in your division. The Niners have to run the table in their division. Does this look like a team with all these injuries and all these problems on offense that's going to finish with more than 9 or 10 wins? I don't see it. I'm thinking 9 or 10 wins if they're lucky, if they play their best and they get healthy. So what they got to do is win all their divisional games. You think they're going to win next week against Kansas City if Charvarius Ward and Nick Bosa don't play? You think they'll win? No Jimmy Ward, maybe no Charvarius Ward, maybe no Nick Bosa. I don't see it. Now, maybe the Niners will rush some guys back and they'll be healthy enough and they'll pull it off. But 3-3, looking at potentially 3-4. All of a sudden, this season's very serious. And it's just like last season when they started off 3-5. The Niners got lucky. Not lucky, but they figured something out last year. They put Deebo Samuel at running back, and all of a sudden, their season took off. Is that going to happen this year? They haven't really unveiled that offensive wrinkle that's going to make things easy. The offensive cheat code. Today, this offense was terrible and unimaginative, uncreative. Everything was hard. The only thing they did was throw screens. That's the new Niners offense. Throw 40 screens a game. That's not good. So they had a great defense, but right now it's looking like it's going to be a long time before that group is back on the field together again. When Bosa and Charvarius Ward come back, they should be a very good defense. But without Emmanuel Mosley out there too, they're never going to be that great defense that they were. Mosley and Ward together were the key. We saw this team in the last few years with one good cornerback. It's not good enough. With 2, all of a sudden this team was it was the best defense I've seen in a long, long time. It was looking like all-time great. And they weren't just getting they were getting sacks in every way possible. Coverage sacks, rushing 4, blitz. Every single unit made the other unit better because they were elite at all 3 levels. Now, they're elite at no levels. They're a good, solid defense. A good, solid defense, not a great defense. And an offense that's, tripping over itself weekly. And a team that's just really beat up. So, frankly, I think if the Chiefs are looking at this game with the Niners, I think they're thinking, great! That's exactly the team I want to face. They just lost to Atlanta. They're really beaten up. Yeah, they have a really good core of veterans on the team, the Niners, but if you got to play the Niners, now's the time. So, yeah, they could still make the playoffs and win their division, but they're going to have to, their margin for error is, you lose to Chicago, Denver, and Atlanta, your margin for error is gone. You got to run the table in your division. They can. They're better than Seattle. We've seen it. They're better than the Rams. We've seen it. They've struggled with the Cardinals in the past, but they should be able to beat the Cardinals. So look, Kyle's going to really have to hunker down, meet up with his quality control coach, and find the answers here because he doesn't have it on his own. Everyone deserves blame but Ayuk, LOL. No, they all deserve blame. Buddy Boy says, here's $2. Thank you. James Wilson says, Falcons said we're going to make Jimmy throw the ball to beat us. So 41 pass attempts, but Jimmy had 29 of 42, so his fans can say he played good. Yeah, whatever. 14 points. Whatever you want to say he played good. I think that the turnovers are a deal breaker. If you told me before the game Jimmy's going to throw 41 times, I'm like, okay, well, he's going to commit a couple turnovers, and they're going to lose. So whatever. You should never be throwing 41 times a game. But I don't even think the Falcons did anything to shut down the Niners' run game. I think the Niners, they had like 3 plays. It was the toss counter, the toss outside, and the dive up the middle. I mean, they were not committed to running the ball in this game. I don't know why. Very strange. We want Lance. Get well soon, bro. Anyone else, man? I'm so tired of watching Jimmy Garoppolo play quarterback. I'm so sorry. I mean, it's like I say, okay, here comes the interception. I mean, you know what's coming. Quincy Van Vleck says both teams had several injuries on turf. Not a must-win game. Why not sit starters, take the L, and avoid the injuries? Ask Kyle. It's a smarter strategy. Yeah, I mean, look at what these 2 back-to-back games on turf did to the 49ers. Just eviscerated them. Terrible. I don't know how you avoid it. Lil or Stewie says season is done. This team is broken like 2020 season, but now it's Trey and Elijah Mitchell and so many more IR players. When will Kyle learn injuries honestly do not lead to victories? Jed needs to step up. I'm going to talk about the injuries in a minute. Josh Norman is probably available. Oh, man. I bet he is. Buddy Boy says Kyle needs to learn from his dad. When Mike gave up control and power, he won 2 Super Bowls. Bring someone in from healthy team to run training staff. You know what happened after he won 2 Super Bowls? He got the power back. And he was terrible after that. Not terrible, but mediocre. Grant, you got to bring Flav with you to the KC game so you both can sit down and go back and forth live. I got to pay for Flav. If he comes out there, we can do something. Flav has given me a lot of money, though. Kirubel says, I feel like we have a losing record against teams with dual threat quarterbacks. Yup. I feel like this wide 9 defense isn't great against dual threat quarterbacks because it's all about just getting into the backfield as quickly as possible. Okay, well, what if the quarterback can move? You know, it seems like it actually makes it easier for him to get outside the pocket. Let's talk about these injuries. Year 6 of Kyle Shanahan's tenure, and he's already positioning himself to use the injury excuse if they don't have a good year or they don't win a Super Bowl. Is it legit for him to use the injury excuse again? I mean, you might say so. You might say injuries are a part of football, and if you look at each one, like how is Kyle Shanahan directly responsible for this injury or that injury? Sure, but big picture, I mean, the fact that the Niners are the most injured team every year and he can't find anything to fix it. I mean, he already changed the training staff. They're on the 2nd training staff. I mean, it's your job to isolate the variable that's ruining your team's health and fix it. He can't do it. I'm not saying it's a training staff. I don't know what it is, but it's Kyle's job to figure out. He already swapped out the training staff. Can't say them. And if he hired a second inferior training staff, that's again on him. But really, it seems to me like it's not the training staff. It's the training. It's training camp and preseason. They're light. I tell you every year, these practices in training camp are like 90 minutes. There's no contact. There's no tackling. Very little contact. And then the starters don't play in the preseason. So what Kyle's doing is, because he's had issues getting players injured in the offseason. He's like, let me just get my team to week 1 healthy. Yeah, and then everyone gets hurt in the first 6 weeks of the year because they're not in football shape. Football shape is real. There used to be 6 preseason games because just being a good athlete doesn't mean that you can necessarily withstand the violence of football and stay healthy. And that's the Niners' pattern. They're very good, very talented, very athletic, big, strong, fast, but they're not in football shape until November. And teams that are a little bit more prepared can beat them. As we saw, Atlanta was more prepared. Atlanta's in football shape. They took it to the Niners. They were like, you know what? You guys are hurt. You guys really aren't even in the season yet. We're going to make this a very, very physical game, running at you 40 times. What are you going to do? And the Niners folded. So, I don't know. If the Niners don't win the Super Bowl this year, the injuries are going to be a big reason why. But you can't just say, hey, man, bad luck. Let's give Kyle Shanahan another shot. I'm not saying fire Kyle Shanahan either. But I'm saying the reason it's still an issue is because he doesn't actually do anything about it. He changed the training staff once. Has he changed his preseason approach? Has he changed his training camp approach? No. So next year they'll do the same thing. They'll have a light training camp. They won't play any of the starters in preseason. And most likely, a lot of guys will get hurt. Also, there's so many older veterans. They invest in guys who were injured before they got here. Javon Kinlaw, D. Ford, Mark. I mean, they do this over and over again. So I don't feel sympathetic to the 49ers that players are hurt. Like, do a better job of protecting your players, Kyle. Figure it out. And if you want to throw up your hands and be like, there's nothing I can do, it's out of my hands, well then, what you're saying is that you're not a head coach. And frankly, you're not a good offensive coordinator either. 0 points in the second half, 14 points. I don't know. It's early in the season, but really, this has been one of Kyle Shanahan's worst years. It's early. He was 3-5 last year, but he had an all-time great defense for a month and a half and went 3-3. Now he doesn't have an all-time great defense. And he had the nerve to blame his defense for the loss today. That was a low point for him. It just gets exhausting after a while because, like you said, Kyle on year 7, but we should not be in another rebuild in the middle of the season. It just doesn't make sense. Like he's never ready in week 1. I mean, it's your job to get your team prepared to play football, and he can't figure out how to get his team prepared for September and October. Are the Niners a trap game for KC? I mean, I guess they would qualify, but I don't know if the Niners are healthy enough to come through. Teams know Jimmy wears cement cleats down 14 means meet me at the quarterback. Yeah. Yep. Got you. Okay. Couple more. All right, this is the last one, actually. Kyle Shanahan's offense. Kyle Shanahan, the genius. Kyle Shanahan, who can't score any points in the second half. What the hell was his offensive game plan this week? He coached like a guy who never expected to run the ball effectively. There was no variety in the run game. It used to be in 2019 when they went to the Super Bowl, they would hit you with like 10 or 11 different run concepts. I mean, all kind of different blocking schemes from different formations with different, and there would be motions, jet sweeps, and all kind of million different things going, and it felt like every single run was different. And now in this game, there's like the toss counter and the toss sweep, and then the handoff, the stretch to the outside and the inside. There are like 4 concepts in their run game. What the hell happened to their run game? It used to be so voluminous and creative. This was not creative. It was just, hey, Jeff, run into this brick wall as many times as you can. 7 times. I don't know. What happened to the jet sweep? This guy, Kyle Shanahan, only drafts and acquires gadget receivers. You're a real wide receiver? We need someone who can run jet sweeps and line up in the backfield. So you have Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Ray McLeod, and Danny Gray, who was inactive today, and you don't run any jet sweeps. Not one. Why? Do something different. Just running into the line repeatedly isn't working this year. That's never what they did in the past. Mike McDaniel goes to Miami, and all of a sudden the Niners just run into the line. I mean, that's what they've been doing all year. Jeff Wilson Jr.'s had some big runs where he breaks through, but today he didn't because he's been overused. That's another sin of Kyle Shanahan's. What happened to the running back by committee? He did it in 2019. This year, I mean, the last 2 years, he ran Elijah Mitchell into the ground last year, and he's running Jeff Wilson Jr. into the ground this year. Jeff Wilson Jr. had 65 carries the last 4 games. Then he had a shoulder injury this week, and today he was terrible, fumbled, ineffective. And Kyle's like, I guess we can't run the ball today. Well, then you lost. This is why I've been saying all year, you got to get Jordan Mason involved because Jeff Wilson Jr. is going to get hurt too because you're overusing him. And the minute Jeff Wilson Jr. gets hurt or is ineffective, you're going to lose to a team that's terrible or a team that you should beat. The Niners are only as good as their running back. Jimmy Garoppolo gets all the discussion, but when the Niners have a good running back, they win. When they have a bad running back, they lose. It doesn't matter who their quarterback is. And today, they didn't have a running back. They had one. He was on the bench. They'd never give him the ball. They had tired Jeff Wilson and Tevin Coleman. Not good enough. So his usage of personnel isn't good enough. His creativity isn't there. He stopped using his wide receivers as gadget players. Why even bring in Ray McLeod? You signed Ray McLeod to throw deep passes to him? Why? He's not a deep threat. Danny Gray is a deep threat. You left him inactive today. You threw a deep pass to Ray, and then you're surprised that he dropped the ball. I'm not. He doesn't have good hands. He's a punt returner. And that's who you threw the deep ball to. Also, you threw a deep ball to Charlie Werner? Why? When has he ever made a big catch? Why do you trust him? Meanwhile, Ross Dwelly's never dropped a pass in his freaking career. And you don't throw him the ball? You called that one for Charlie Werner? Hey, man, that really caught us by surprise. Way to trick everyone. Kyle Shanahan's offense is unproductive and unimaginative. All the creative stuff he had going 3-4 years ago is gone. Today, his offense was screen left, screen right, tunnel screen, bubble screen, wide receiver screen. That's not getting it done. And then you look at it, the Falcons, who have nobody. Had you heard of any of their running backs? All of a sudden, their offense looked great. Not great, but they were very creative, and it was clear they were outperforming their talent level. The Niners have been underperforming given their talent on offense for years. They have way too much talent to be scoring 14 points a game, even with this quarterback. So, I don't know. I'm trying my best to quality control it up, but Kyle doesn't listen. One week he does, and he wins, and he thinks he's great, and all of a sudden, he does it. You know what? We're going screens today. Screens, slants, and curls. The screens, slants, and curls offense is not going to get it done. So, this is really bleak, huh? Again? Hold on. I think they're telling me that my show's over. Hold on. Sorry. Okay, let me answer a couple more questions. Darth says, why wait till week 6 down 14 to throw a corner route? Take a deep shot in the seam route. They dropped it because they never do it. Yeah, that's fair too. You waited down 14 week 6 to throw a corner route, which is, there may not be many wide receivers who run a better corner route in the NFL than Brandon Ayuk, but you can't do it until you're down big. I agree. Grant, did you see how many times Jimmy G had room to run but didn't? Shake my head, I'm sick. Are you surprised? Dog, we've been watching Jimmy G Garoppolo for like too long. I've been watching him for the better part of my all of my 30s. I can't get these years back. No more excuses for Jimmy or Kyle. They are who they are. At some point in their careers, we know who they are. Kyle's inconsistent and Jimmy mediocre. Bingo. And I'm done picking sides. They're both who they are. Kyler V says, how can we blame Trey for the receivers' drops when he plays, but Jimmy is out there. You hear nothing about the drops being on him. I gave him credit for the drops. Ray should have caught that pass. Warner should have caught that pass. Jimmy's numbers would have looked better, but he also threw 2 picks. So, he also had a fumble that didn't count. He got lucky on that one. So, you can play the what-if game all day. What if these 2 guys caught passes? The Niners still would have lost. He still would have thrown 2 picks, and he still wouldn't have played well enough to win because that's who Jimmy Garoppolo is. So, if you want to, go to bed tonight feeling good that Jimmy Garoppolo played a little bit better than I gave him credit for, be my guest. Ask Kyle what happened to the jet sweep and why when they're down 2 scores, it's always time to throw. Someone needs to tell him you don't have to stop running or else those play actions won't work. Yeah, that's what kills me, man. He's like, oh, we couldn't run the ball today because we fell down 14-0. What? That was the first quarter. You're allowed to run the ball down 14 in the first half. I remember in the NFC Championship game next door at the old Georgia Dome, the Niners fell down. What were they, 24-3? Were they down 24-0? I think they were down 24-0 in the NFC Championship game. And what they did was they stuck to the game plan, kept running the ball. It worked. Had they abandoned it, they would have lost. Kyle gets nervous. And that's not confident behavior. Sticking with the run down 24 in the NFC Championship game is the most confident thing I've ever seen. It was great. Kyle wouldn't do it. He was down 14-0. They brought it back to 14-14. Still didn't want to run the ball. And he's saying they lost because of a 3rd down conversion when the game was tied in the second quarter? Give me a break. Shanahan is 0-24 when trailing by 7 heading into the 4th. Are you serious? Tell me you're kidding. 0-24 when trailing by 7 heading into the 4th? Damn, dude. That guy's a genius. Flav says, I'll be at the Rams game in a couple of weeks, going to hang out afterwards and force my way onto the instant reaction. Sounds good, Flav. Let's do it. Just be safe, man. I'm telling you, that place is kind of wild so far. Got you. If Mariota was on the team, the Niners would be better. Mariota's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, all these people are saying, hey, give Jimmy some credit. He played pretty well today. He was the 2nd best quarterback on the field. How do you feel about, hey, guys that are praising Jimmy Garoppolo and think I'm being too tough on him? What do you think of Mariota today? He missed 1 pass. And he ran the ball. The legs actually matter. Having a quarterback who never moves, it hurts your run game. It hurts your pass protection. He just he plants himself in one spot. His feet are dead. Congrats to Ayuk for not dropping the deep pass. Man. Jimmy Garoppolo fans are salty after losses. Ask Kyle to play Madden or something to learn clock management. Hey, Kyle, here's my question. Play Madden. Manage the clock better. Your thoughts? Thoughts? Talk about how bad you are at managing the clock. Got you. Why do you keep emphasizing that he threw 2 picks? One of them was completely irrelevant. Because it was a terrible pass. It was embarrassing. You threw a Hail Mary 25 yards into triple coverage. It was embarrassing. You could have done something better than that. You could have thrown a screen. Well, this season just got real interesting, huh? Let's see what happens. Kyle's got to win some games. He's still under 500 as a head coach. And the season, I mean, it's going to get a lot harder. He's going to have to face the Chargers and the Chiefs and the Bucks and a bunch of good teams. They haven't faced any good teams yet. It's coming. So let's see. If the Niners are good, they'll get their stuff together and they'll win some games. Kittle looks slow. I could be the number one elsewhere. I tried to tell you about Kittle. They made it their business to get him the ball, but he just doesn't have the same violence and explosion and elusiveness after the catch. He doesn't. I don't know why. Well, theory. All right, guys. Time for me to go home. It's been the longest week and a half of my life. It was a lot of fun. I kind of resent that I had to go to West Virginia. They should have won this game. You can't go to West Virginia and lose. That's exhausting. I wonder if they go to West Virginia next year. It didn't seem like that really helped out much. West Virginia. Do you think they can beat Kansas City? Honest. Yeah, they can. I don't think they will, though. Their defense isn't what it used to be. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. I'll be back tomorrow, taking an early flight out tomorrow, and I'll be doing Monday morning, the Monday morning show with Ryan Hensley, although I'm probably not going to make it home until about 11, so we'll probably go 12 instead of 11 tomorrow. Have a great night. Sorry the Niners lost. It wasn't my fault. I tried to help them.